So now I'm going to show you how I take 2 blocks, and this one's a little bit different. You'll notice that with the first 4 blocks I made it easy. I made it all one color for joining the 2 blocks. So for block 5 and block 6, I made the squid's tentacles go into the treasure chest block, because I'm going to show you how I combine these 2 blocks using Tunisian crochet, and so that it makes where the tentacles will join with this block. So I'm going to show you how to do that. The first thing that you want to do is gather your colors. So you're going to need your brown color, because you have brown here at the bottom. You're also going to need your gray color, because you're going to be joining the gray here, which is, the gray is representative of a rock. So I was trying to draw a rock, and that's why it has the gray color. Then you're going to need the pink, the same pink that you used for the outline, or whatever color that you used for the outline for your squid. Then you need the darker purple, and you need blue for the blue portions. So go ahead and gather your colors that you need to join these 2 blocks. And then you're going to line up the 2 blocks so the right sides are together. Make sure that you have the tentacles on the tentacle side and not on the other side of the treasure chest. Then what I do is the same thing with my other blocks that I use Tunisian crochet to join. I'm going to take my tapestry needle and join the opposite end. So I just take my tapestry needle, and then I just want to join the opposite end. Then I'm ready to join the opposite side. And I'm going to be joining the brown portion. So I'm going to go into the first stitch. And remember, you want to try and grab 2 loops. So I'm going to grab a couple loops of the brown. And then you want to grab 2 loops of the brown on the opposite block. And then you're going to bring up a loop with your brown colored yarn. So here I'm going to bring up a loop. Then I'm just going to take and tie the 2 loose yarn ends. Then you want to join the same number. So I drew these graphs so that they would line up perfectly with the numbers. So I have 2 of the brown colored loops that I should have on my hook. Now on my graph I had 1, but because of the starting chain it looks like I have 2, and that's okay because they line up with the other block. So now I'm going to go into the next brown stitch, making sure that I grab 2 loops, and then I'm going to grab the 2 loops on the opposite block. And then bring up a loop, and now I'm to the gray portion. So now you want to go into the next stitch, and again you want to go under the 2 loops. Make sure you grab 2 loops, and then 2 loops on the opposite block, and then you're going to drop the brown and then just bring up the gray. So now I'm going to bring up the gray. Then you can take and tie a knot. And then you want to see, just kind of peek at the graph and see how many. It looks like I have 3 here. And on my graph I have 3 of the gray. So I'm just going to go under the 2 loops. of both blocks with the gray. So you can see how easy it is. It's the same way that you did the rows with the color changes. That's why I like to use this method, because it's so quick and easy to combine them rather than trying to sew the pieces together with your tapestry needle. So now I have the grays. Then I'm just going to go right into the next. And it looks like I have 2 here of the pink. So, and that's the same thing that I had on my graph. So here you can see how I'm grabbing both of the pink. I'm going to drop the gray and then just bring up the pink. So that's all I do all the way down. Just bringing up the colors that I need, just like I would completing a row with the color changes. It's the exact same thing. I'm going to tie it to my gray. So go ahead, finish bringing up all of your colors along the side of the blocks, and then come back. So here I just wanted to show you that I have my second pink portion, and just like I would do with my row, I would bring the pink, since it's not that far, I'm just going to bring my pink over, stretch it across, and then just bring up a loop. So here I wanted to point out, because of the yarn style that I chose with the blue, you can see that I might have a little gap there that I might have to fix with my tapestry needle, but I'll see after I'm finished. And then I also brought up an extra loop here, so sometimes you can do that when joining, because I originally had only 5. So it doesn't matter if you add an extra one there if you need to. It still lines up. You just want the colors to line up. So I will look at this when I'm finished to see if I need to fix it, and I'll show you how I do that if I need to. And again, it created a little bit of gap here because of the yarn choice that I used. And even for my purple, it wasn't too far, so I went ahead and stretched my purple across. And then of course, as I'm joining, I make sure that the end is lining up, which it is. It's coming along nicely. Then you just start returning back across using the same method that you would for a row. So remember, you'll go through only 1 loop first and then 2 at a time. So yarn over and 2 at a time until you reach the first color change. Oops. And remember, the color change is when you reach 2 loops with 2 different colors. Like here. So now I have 2 different colors. I'm going to drop the blue and pick up the next color, which is pink. Now I have 2 different colors. So I'm going to drop and then pick up with the purple. So you just keep repeating that all the way across, the same way that you would for a regular color changing row. Then when you reach the end, you can go ahead and finish off, just yarn over and just pull enough yarn through as a loose yarn end. And then just cinch that knot down. Then you want to go back across, give a gentle tug on your yarn, and make sure that you don't have a gap. So after you do that, you can trim it, and then just take and tie a knot with the closest loose yarn end. So here you can see the pink, there's a little bit of a gap, so I just pick up the pink and pull that gap closed. And then I'm going to tie it to the purple that's right next to it, so pull on the gap. And then just tie a knot. So go ahead, finish repeating that for all of your colors. Now here, I tied to one of the loose yarn ends, the blue here, but I'm going to leave a little bit of my blue because I might have to sew a little bit here. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of my blue yarn. Now, if you already cut it, you just need a little bit of blue yarn on your tapestry needle, and I'll show you what it looks like before and after on that one. So when I open it up, this is what it looks like, and you can see it actually doesn't look too bad right here. So I might just kind of sew just a little bit there, but actually, you could see there's a little bit of a gap there. So I'm going to kind of fix that portion, but overall, the joining looks awesome. You can see how neat of a stitch it creates. So some people don't like this form of joining, but for me, I think it looks fine. And see here, you can see even a little bit of a gap there, so I'll see if I can fix that just a little bit too on that one. But overall, I love how it looks. It joined very nicely. So I did get a little bit of blue on my tapestry needle, and right here for that top portion, you can see the little gap there. So take your tapestry needle with the blue yarn, and you want to start from the top. So right here, I'm going to go right at the top. I'm going to grab a stitch here, and then grab a stitch here on the other side of the gap. Then I'm just going to bring up the yarn and then tie a knot. Then you can take and just go in and out, bringing that gap together so it closes the gap. And this doesn't always happen. It depends on the yarn style. So this is a thinner yarn style, but I love it because it comes with such a large skein, and it has a really pretty color. So here you can see how I went right along the gap. And then when you flip it over, you see that there's no gaps. So it looks great. And then, now I'm just going to show you what I do for this portion right down here. So for this portion, I have the long end that I left for sewing. And then I'm just going to take and grab the blue portion . And then you can see how I just brought that together. And then I'm going to go through this next part here. And then I'm going to grab the back part of the pink portion. You don't want to mess up the image on the front, so be very careful that you don't do that. Then I'm going to go across. So that's how you can fix any small areas on the back. And then you just tie a knot. When you're finished. And then just make sure that the front image isn't affected from you fixing anything on the back. So again, even if you have to make these minor corrections, I still like the method of the Tunisian crochet, joining the two blocks and then just making any minor fixes if I need to. And then you see how it just comes out gorgeous. So I wanted to go back to my treasure chest block because, as you can see, I tried to make little pearls on the treasure chest, and with the graph sometimes it's kind of hard to make it look like pearls. So Brenda Butler gave me a really good idea. She said that she was going to make pearls at the base of her treasure chest by embroidery thread, and I thought that was a wonderful idea. So what I'm going to do is just make an outline around my pearls with embroidery thread. And I'm using Prism craft thread. This is 100% cotton. And I have, this is a pastel pink or a light pink, but I have a whole pack with 36 skeins included with it, Prism craft thread. It's the pastel collection, and I just love it because I can just pick whatever color. You can see I've been through this and I've used it before. So, and then I just kind of tuck them back in to this, but there's other ways you can organize it if you wanted to put it like in a Ziploc bag or something, but it's been working just putting them into the same container for when I need it. And then what I do to keep the little tags on it is I find the little loose yarn end and I just gently pull on it with the amount that I need. So you see how it comes out easily when you find that loose yarn end. And then I just use my regular tapestry needle to sew it. And then I only use a single thread, but you could double it if you wanted to. And I'm just going to cut it here and then put this back into my box. But now I'm just going to go on the wrong side and then come up. And then I'm just going to outline. After I tie a knot, I'm just going to make sure I leave enough of a loose yarn end on the back to join all of my other wonderful loose yarn ends that I don't have to bury. I'm going to tie a couple knots there, make sure it's nice, it won't come undone. Then I'm just going to go and outline, try to make a little bit of a circle. And then you can see how I just went around the colored stitch on the graph that for the pearls that I tried to make. And I just make little circles around it. And I love how it turns out. Looks more like a circle or pearl. I just go in and out. Almost like a square pattern around the original colored stitch. To kind of give it that pearl look. Now you could probably even use regular yarn, like a pastel, whatever color that you want for your pearls. You could use regular yarn too. Sometimes I like to use different, like embroidery thread, just to change it up. Plus embroidery thread is a little bit thinner, so it can give it a different look, especially with faces. So when you're making faces, embroidery thread, like for the mouth, works amazing. So just different things that you can do, different techniques. So for some of mine, you can see how I went over a couple more times where the brown was, but I always left the main color. And I think it turned out pretty doing that too. So I'm loving how it's turning out. It looks more like pearls hanging over the side of the chest and looks great. So now this is what it looks like. I love it. Thank you, Brenda, for the suggestion.